The subject of this video is the November jobs report and how this last economic release before the Fed's December 18th meeting should impact their monetary policy decision. The other subject is Trump's recent tariff threats. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported earlier today that the economy added 227,000 additional jobs in November. The jobs reports for the prior 2 months were revised higher by a combined 56,000 additional new jobs. The total non-farm payroll employment for September was revised up by 32,000 to 255,000, and the change for October was revised up by 24,000. Average hourly earnings rose by 13 cents or 0.4% to $35.61. Average hourly earnings rose 4% over the 12-month period ending in November, and that is higher than the inflation rate. So there is real wage growth. The unemployment rate was 4.2%. The federal funds futures contracts as of 8:10 Central Standard Time today, which is December 6th, has a 87.3% chance that the Fed will reduce its federal funds range by 25 basis points when it meets on December 18th, which is up from a 71% probability as of yesterday. If this cut does occur, the federal funds range will be reduced to 4.25% to 4.5%, and short-term rates will soon drop to reflect that quarter point cut. I have the opposite reaction as to what the Fed needs to do and will do, hopefully. I see no good reason for any rate cut given the recent economic reports that include the recent PCE inflation and CPI inflation reports. The economy does not need monetary stimulus now, particularly with PCE inflation running higher than the Fed's target range. I made an obvious point in my blog back in 2021 that the Fed was stoking inflation through excessive monetary stimulus through its ZIRP at zero interest rates and its QE monetary policies, both extreme monetary stimulus policies, with the QE causing a huge increase in the money supply that historically has resulted in the past in inflation increasing into problematic territory. By the third quarter of 2021, I stated that and started to refer to the Fed's monetary policies as being so far behind the curve in fighting inflation that it would need a telescope to see the curve. The end result was that CPI had increased by 8.5% for the 12 months ending in March 2022, when the Fed finally raised the federal funds range by 0.25% to a 0.25 to 0.5% range and ended the monetary stimulus policy known as quantitative easing, where the Fed creates money to buy Treasury and mortgage-backed securities, which pressures longer-term interest rates down. And the result was that its balance sheet at its height exceeded $7 trillion. Ask a Trump supporter to explain how the Fed's monetary policies contributed to problematic inflation in 2021 through ZIRP and QE. There will be a blank stare in response. One of the potentially unsolvable and certainly growing problems that exist in America today is the pervasiveness of ignorance, which makes voters easily manipulated with false information by a demagogue like Trump. I published some videos on what was the actual Trump record on the economy before the pandemic, which I will link in the more section below. The other topic of this video is Trump's recent tariff threats. I noted in a recent blog post that stock investors were close to certain, as expressed in the current stock market levels, that Trump's tariff threats were bluster and not much else other than publicity stunts, creating the impression that he was actually accomplishing something with his threats. An example is his threat to impose a 25% tariff on all imports from Mexico. Trump made the tariff threat and then talks to Mexico's newly installed president, who summarizes what Mexico has been doing for a few years now. And then Trump announces on Truth Social that the border problem has been solved, with Mexico agreeing to close the border. Trump threatens a tariff, makes a phone call, and Mexico caves to his demands. Just that easy, or so we are led to believe. Of course, Mexico's president made no such commitment, but it really does not matter, at least for now. Trump's claims victory when nothing has changed, and that may be enough to avoid a tariff war with an important U.S. trading partner, at least until reality sinks in that nothing much different has happened on Mexico stopping illegal immigration to the U.S. Border, other than what it has already been doing for the past year or so, that has already cut down on the number of illegal crossings. The same is true for Trump's 25% tariff threat against Canada. Trump meets with Trudeau and the Canadian president summarizes what Canada has been doing, and Trump then makes a publicity claim that he is accomplishing major policy objectives with his tariff threats, and really nothing has changed. These shows are similar, television shows are similar to the publicity stunt of shaking hands with the North Korean dictator at the demilitarized zone. It is just a facade of doing something. New tariff threats amounting to 100% have been made by Trump against the BRIC nations. If they do something that weakens the status of the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, there may not be any negative stock market reaction to Trump's tariff threats until he actually implements them. If a trade war erupts with tit-for-tat tariff increases, there will be a negative reaction in the stock market and more concern than at present that tariffs on U.S. imports will ignite inflation as the tariff tax paid by the U.S. importer is passed on to U.S. consumers, and domestic manufacturers respond with price increases as well, which is what they have done in the past when tariffs have been increased on foreign product imports. I will cite some references for what I'm saying in this video in the more section below.